Congratulations, you're another lucky no prize winner. You'll find it enclosed.
Hello again, and welcome to another episode of No Prize Podcast. I am the Professor Bud Young, and with me, as always, from across the pond is Johnny the Machine Hughes. How are you, Johnny?
I'm very well. Let's just get it shouted out now. Go Kansas! I want it to be No Prize Patriots tomorrow. Thank you.
The No Patriots Podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Go Kansas!
Well, you guys are gonna have to shut me up after tomorrow, I think. And also with us we have what was
Everybody
that?
wants to advertise as new host when the Patriots win and we get sick of bragging about it. By all means, send your applications in.
We shall see. We also have Lucas with us. How are you, Lucas?
I'm doing all right. How about you guys?
I'm doing great. We're just gonna shut me up with the Patriots talk.
That's okay. I'll throw in some of my Who Dat New Orleans.
There you go. Hey, we might be going up against each other next episode.
Hopefully that'll be good, man.
Yeah,
We're just books.
Yeah, a little Breeze Brady Super Bowl. That would be something else, I think.
Yeah, that's what seventh Super Bowl if he makes it.
Yeah. Hey, before we jump into the comic, because I want to talk. Did you guys see the new creation that's coming up from Marvel from the X-Men universe created by Liefeld? Did you guys see that?
No, what's it called? What is it? A cartoon? Is it a TV series?
Oh no, it's a new comic book, Major X by Rob Liefeld. You guys didn't see it?
I try to avoid everything by Liefeld. Sorry.
I hate it too. I was seeing if you guys wanted to kill it with me.
See,
But,
I saw a tweet on him sent out earlier today. It said something along the lines of, "I hate people. I hate people that lie. There's too many lies in mainstream industry. Wizard in the 90s used to make all sorts of shit up. I don't like liars." I was really tempted to turn around and say, "Does that include when you say your book's going to be out by a certain date and then fail by like years?" But I managed to curb my cynicism. So my mum said if I can't say anything good about anything, then I shouldn't say anything at all. So that's pretty much me leaving the podcast right now. Okay, thanks.
I try to dare Al Mega to go over to Liefeld a couple of months ago and say where's my Kickstarter because he donated to it like 5 years ago and never saw his money back. Never saw a book either, but that's kind of funny.
All right, so I'm looking at the news sources for this Major X that you're talking about, and it's talking about that he comes from another existence. So I'm wondering if that might go into the Uncanny X-Men number 10 that we're getting ready to talk about in a couple of issues, and I'll talk about what's going on with that.
Yeah. I don't know. It looks same color scheme as Deadpool. I was a little upset with the non-originality as far as his color scheme goes. And then
Does he have pouches?
Does he have what?
A whole bunch of pouches.
No. There's no pouches. There's no feet in this drawing either. So that's par, of course. But the drawing that I saw, the one that revealed Major X, also if you look at that, it has like Wolverine and Cable who's dead, and it has the Beast who hasn't looked like that in like 20 years. So I don't know if Liefeld hasn't picked up an X-Men comic book in 20 years, but Beast hasn't looked like that since the 90s.
All right, so it's got and it's got Storm in the background as well.
Yeah. That's a pretty weak drawing of Storm too. But who's counting?
See, I wasn't going to look, but now you've made me look. Major X. Was that what it's called? Wrong.
It's called Major X.
Major X. Oh, here we go. Which one do I want? We'll go with that one.
Johnny's first impression live on No Price Podcast.
So is he supposed to be like a mix-up of all 5 of those characters? I guess.
I don't know. He's got the gun. He's a gun guy. So he's got the guns and the Peacemaker helmet and the red X.
Yeah, he's got the glowing circle, so that might be his time traveling deal.
Yeah.
Just don't know where Storm comes into it.
Or Deadpool, for that matter. Or,
Well, with Deadpool, you got the guns and you got the sword. It looks like in the background.
I really to coin a certain phrase, I don't think I'd be more whelmed if I tried.
The review of Major X #1 coming soon to a No Price Podcast near you.
I'm going to be away that week. I don't know which week it is because Liefeld's notoriously bad for hitting deadlines, but whichever one it is, I'm not going to be here.
So April of 2019. That's going to be interesting.
Which one?
Oh yeah, it's just a couple months away, baby.
Who?
April.
April of 2019.
April 1st.
Oh, yeah, maybe this is a big April Fool's joke on us, like 3 months early. Wouldn't that be awesome?
No.
It's not awesome. All right, we're gonna jump into our reviews. I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought you guys would get a kick out of it.
Wow. Start it off.
All right, so let's jump right into to Amazing Spider-Man number 13, where this is part 3 of the Lifetime Achievement storyline, which is heavily featuring J. Jonah Jameson, and if you've been reading Amazing Spider-Man or Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man for the last year or so, you've been kind of seeing a big 180 in J. Jonah Jameson's attitude towards Spider-Man. He found out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man probably about like 9 months ago now, and this really kind of has had Jameson kind of really have a change of heart and has tried working with Spider-Man and promoting him as a hero instead of the menace that he's portrayed him to be the last 60 years. I think this was a great kind of character development thing for Jameson, and it's kind of really lent itself to have a pretty neat storyline like this. And this is Nick Spencer and Ryan Otley, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but Ryan Otley, I do like his art, and I see a lot of Sal Buscema in his artwork. I don't know if you guys noticed that at all, but it's like I think his layouts and the faces are kind of I don't know if they're a homage, but they're kind of reminiscent of a Sal Buscema Spectacular Spider-Man. I don't know if you guys think so.
Yeah, I can see how you think that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But especially around Spider-Man's eyes and some of the square, straight lines that are on play, rather than the usual sort of like curvy stuff we normally see. Yeah, I could agree with that. Sal Buscema is one of my favourite artists of all time when it comes to Spider-Man.
So yeah, but I mean, and it looks like Otley's just trying to maybe kind of give you a little bit of kind of reminiscent about like old school. And this storyline is pretty old school, right? I mean, he's bringing up Frederick Foswell, who's the original big man from early issues of the Amazing Spider-Man, and the Enforcers, who I'm sure Lucas will tell you when they first appeared. I want to say Amazing Spider-Man number 2, but I'm probably wicked wrong. But then I can hear Google going right now. They bring back a lot of villains. You haven't seen the original Scorpion or Matt Gargan as Scorpion in quite a while, and not in his original costume, which he's in again. And then the Spider Slayers. So pretty much all of J. Jonah Jameson's machinations that he did to try to take out Spider-Man way back in the '60s has come home to roost, and has come home to bite him in the ass. All in just to kind of, I don't know, mar Jonah Jameson's reputation, Kingpin wanted to get a photograph with Spider-Man and J. Jonah Jameson together with the Kingpin to kind of discredit or prop up Kingpin's mayorship. I don't know if what you guys feel about that, but I love this storyline. I love it. I love the old school. I love bringing the Enforcers back. I love Frederick Foswell because, you know, who the hell remembers him? So I love the old school. I love the Scorpion. I love the Matt Gargan Scorpion. I love how they bring back Taskmaster and Black Ant at the end, and kind of makes you wonder what the hell's going on there. With they have the Vulture, Cobra, Tarantula, and Stegron the Dinosaur Man, all filling up one cell.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. So I like this. I want to see how this storyline wraps up, and I love this J. Jonah Jameson. I can't say enough about actual character development that they look like they're gonna kind of keep for a while until Jonah Jameson gets hit over the head with a sledgehammer and forgets that he's Peter Parker. But
Absolutely.
yeah, well, you know that's gonna happen, but. I like character development. I love doing something new with a character haven't done before. So, Johnny, what did you think?
Go Lucas first.
Okay. I mean,
All right, Lucas, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you. I like the old classic feel. I like them bringing back some of those old characters. This is more like a when the chickens come home to roost type of issue.
Right.
Spencer and Ollie, they have the audacity to do one thing the comics are often accused of not doing enough is giving Jonah some more character development, which is kind of rare for a side character. The issue's climatic moment was when the villain, Big Man finally acknowledges that he was in the wrong. I mean, he admits that the very negative thing he ever said about Spider-Man was a lie. He used his own tragedy and that of the mastermind's excuse for his crusade. Later, when he faces up against a Kingpin, he again admits that he was wrong. On top of calling out Fisk, Kingpin, he goes into some self-reflection and says, "Hey, man, everything that I did for my own sick crusade was just excuses just to do wrong." Now, you were alluding to, naturally, time will tell whether Jonah, his current attitude, is going to go away from Spider-Man, or whether this is like going to be the whole big thing, which is great. I did not like the fact that they took his talk show away from him, because that for me brings him up more current. Or if they're going to take talk show from him, give him a YouTube podcast, man. Do something like that. Bring him up to date. The art was good with every image of Big Man. I mean, there was like some great panels of Big Man throwing around Spider-Man, slamming him to the walls, and you could feel the impact of every hit, every brick that was falling down on top of his head. Ready to talk on this, Johnny?
Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's think about this. The art was okay. I agree that there is some Sal Buscema homage stuff going on. I'm not buying the J. Jonah Jameson speech as much as everybody else is, because it feels like I've seen this already. This is just Nick Spencer's version of that classic episode where that classic issue where Peter comes out of the closet, the spider closet, as it were, and gives up his secret identity. I miss MJ. I'm more interested in Peter Parker than I am Spider-Man, and that's always been my feel with Spider-Man. As soon as he puts on the mask, you know he's going to win. But it's always the stuff that goes on as Peter that makes the book interesting. The old school homage books, homage characters are fine, but no, I wasn't really enjoying this much as I enjoyed previous issues. But I will say, if we're going old school and bringing all these old characters back, Deborah Whitman must be a couple of issues away at least. Well,
they did bring back Nora Winters, so that could be like a hint that they might be bringing back Deborah Whitman.
Bring back Deborah.
So
the Enforcers, their first issue, that's with Fancy Dan, Ox, and Montana. That was an Amazing Spider-Man number 10. That's going for high end is going for like 1.6 thousand. Low end you could probably get off the street for like $90 on CGC. If you're interested.
I was a little bit off. I said number 2.
Yeah, that was 1964 when that came out.
Well, there you go. Some old school Lee Ditko Spider-Man stuff.
And that was the first appearance of Big Man. So the only thing that, if you're speculating on this issue, the thing that would bring it to your attention is so this is the first appearance of Frederick Fossil Jr., who is now the third Big Man. Because the second Big Man was his daughter, which was like Janice Boswell, or something like that.
So we're not confusing Big Man with Big Pappy then, are we?
No. Or Big Woman. All right, so for me, Amazing Spider-Man number 13 was a huge flame on. I love it. Go out, buy it. I think Nick Spencer's writing a good Spider-Man, bringing back a lot of good stuff.
Invisible Woman for me, I'm sort of on the fence. I can take it or leave it.
So, Johnny, let me ask you. So your ideal Spider-Man issue would be broken up half and half between Peter Parker and Spider-Man?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, totally. I think with the fact that they're going with multiple Spider-Man books again, I think there should be some focus on Peter Parker as much as there should be on Spider-Man.
I agree with you. I agree with you there.
It's no point having the same book twice. So different books can have different vibes, and they can go from there. So I remember back when Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man used to be kind of quirky and, pardon the pun, a little bit off the wall from the regular Amazing Spider-Man run. But no, Peter's a much more interesting character than Spider-Man.
It's true. You know, I get it with you there. I think you need to have some balance, and there was zero balance in this issue. There was no Peter Parker at all. It was all a fight issue. Yeah, and
not a lot of Spider issue either. It's like, I've said this before. I don't know how people can understand that Spider-Man sticks to things. You know,
right?
It seems to me a Spider-Man book is just like, oh, I'll use my web. And his web does absolutely everything. It's like Batman's utility belt. You know, it's bonkers. You know, it's like this material that dissolves in an hour can cover a wound and be safe. Oh, great, cool. Didn't know it could do that. You know, I want to see, if I'm going to see Spider-Man, I want to see him stuck to stuff. I want to see him on ceilings. I want to see him on walls. I don't want him, his spider sense always tingling and web shooters flying all over the place like there's some sort of crazy thing. You know, come on. You know, at least back in the old day, they explained how he could make different things with his web shooters by tapping his fingers certain different ways. Don't even bother with that now. It's like, oh, I'll spin a shield. But never mind. I'm too grumpy and too old school. That's my problem.
I guess I don't want to hear what you're talking about when the new Spider getting stuff.
Did you end up going to see Spider-Verse, Johnny?
No, we went to see Bumblebee instead.
What? Oh, you went to see the Transformers movie?
Well, see, I'd like to say it's my wife's fault, and it absolutely totally is. Mrs. H is not a big animation fan, so hey ho, I'll just wait till it hits the good old DVDs. And I've got to be honest, I bought into all the hype about the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 game. I bought into it massively, and my wife bought me it just before Christmas, and I've played it, and I stopped playing it on Boxing Day. I haven't switched it on since, because basically it's Arkham City, basically, with just Spider-Man instead of Batman, you know. And I'm like, well, that's not quite what I wanted for a Spider-Man game. I'm just wary that the Spider-Verse is going to be exactly the same, all hype, no trousers.
See, I have the Arkham City game, but I have it on what do you call it, the VR glasses, and I happen to like it.
I love Arkham City. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
absolutely love Arkham. I love the Batman and Arkham games, but
So I'm wondering if Spider-Man is in VR.
I don't know.
I'm gonna check it out because I did promise my kid I was gonna buy it for him, but I haven't bought it yet.
It's this sort of stuff
Daddy
that
got
turns.
bills today.
It's this sort of stuff that turns kids rogue.
Well, I have to tell you, I saw Spider-Verse and I thought it was pretty good. So, and I don't like Spider-Geddon or Spider-Verse or anything in the comics, but totally worked. It's kind of like how I like Deadpool in the movies and hate him in the comics. I think it just worked. So, when you have something that I think works, whatever gets more people to see it and whatever gets Spider-Man more fans, I'm all for. So, anyhow, let's jump into Black Widow #1.
Black Widow, baby.
So, Johnny, this is yours. So let's go.
Yay! So it's not been that long since we've had a previous Black Widow book that came out. So Marvel are back at it again. Where it once failed, they're going to keep trying, try again. To me, it seems a little bit of a, oh my God, she's going to be in the new Avengers movie, so we've got to do something. That said, I did really enjoy this book. It's written by Jen and Sylvia Soska, who are directors of some crazy cult movies, including American Mary. Watch it. Kids, don't watch it. There you go. The art is by Flavanio. That's how I'm pronouncing it. You can laugh all you like, but I'm going with it. Color artist is Veronica Gandini, and lettering is by Joe Caramanga.
Oh, he does everything.
Oh man,
This guy.
he's all over the place, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So basically, it's Black Widow. She's still dead, but she's not really. To stay dead, she decided to help the world's most famous superhero in Captain America, who's having a bit of a PR problem, to say the least. What I like about this book is that it deals with one of these things that never seems to be dealt with in the Marvel Universe, and that's ramifications.
Ah.
Yeah, so you've got like from page one, it's like, oh, Captain America, the Avengers were conned, and is it this, is it that? And then you've got the whole, there's an evil Captain America around, and so on and so forth. And then you've got Black Widow showing up and doing a thing. And then, of course, the big kick in the teeth is, oh, by the way, Steve, you killed me. So, hey ho. And off she goes off to my favorite place in the whole Marvel Universe. Madripoor. Check it out. So for me, it has got that Marvel style of humor that's supposed to be like really popular right now that really makes me roll my eyes every time I read it. It kind of works here because you expect, thanks to Scarlett Johansson's pithy attitude in Winter Soldier, more than anything, I guess, the movie, you expect that level of sort of dialogue and bantering, give and take sort of stuff. So yeah, I thought it was a really fun book. It didn't take itself too seriously. I like the fact she's dealing with the fact she's dead and that Captain America killed her. The art works in a cartoony kind of over the way. In fact, she probably does more sort of spider poses than Spider-Man does. So throughout the book, which is kind of cool. I will have to say that I have a soft spot for the Black Widow. One of the very first comics I bought when I was a kid was the Marvel Team Up book. I'm thinking around number 83, where she's sort of like concussed and she doesn't know who she is, and Peter Parker finds her and stuff. So I've always got a soft spot for Natasha Romanoff. But no, I really liked it. This book is a huge flame on for me. It's by far one of the more interesting Marvel books I've read so far this year. Boom, there you go. We're only 2 weeks in, but there you go. So yeah, I liked it. Some of the art had a bit of a John Romita feel to it, which isn't a bad thing. John Romita Jr., not Senior. Just going. So there you go. Flame on.
Lucas, what did you think?
Well, so it's not really professionally fair for me to review this book because I'm a big fan of the Soska sisters, both Jen and Silva, for their work on movies. Because like you mentioned before, they've done American Mary, but they've also done like Dead Hooker in a Trunk and See No Evil 2. They've worked on a number of titles like Groot of America. Oh, Groot America, and they did the Thanos annual, which was really good. Um, but like I like what John was talking about. And that was there's three parts for me here in this comic. First one is which we're talking about. It's especially about Captain America's role as a public figure in the wake of what happened to Secret Empire, which he actually killed Black Widow. And then second was Black Widow teaming up with Captain America to stop a fake Cap from blowing up Times Square on New Year's Eve. That kind of rubbed me a little wrong way because there's so much Cap when this is supposed to be a Black Widow book, you know.
Totally agree with I can see your point on that one, definitely.
And the last point is Natasha. You said it right. She's going to Madripoor, but then she's mixing it up in the sex trade world, which is a weird transition from her normal position as the heroic Avenger side, but now she's going to the God of Shadow Society. So it's a little weird. The whole thing for me is that with Jen and with Sasa Sisters, they love going for that horror feel. That's what I was hoping to get from the Black Widow. I was hoping to get a horror feel or the gritty feel, but I didn't quite get it from this book. They're probably going to pull us more towards that side in the upcoming issues. I'm just not getting it yet. Also, I'm not sure why they're going for the sex trafficking issue because, from everything else I've read from Jen, she's always like up on current events, and she didn't bring anything that was new to the table with this whole Black Widow thing. I mean, even with she's a Russia ex KGB whatever agent, but instead we're going to Madripoor for the sex trafficking stuff, and I'm not sure I see where the connection is yet, but I'm pretty sure Jen she'll handle that and get us to where I know she can get me to. So there is four covers for this thing. There's a 1/100 that nobody's buying, and there's a 1/50 that once again nobody's buying. But there's a 1/25 by Marco and Dolfo. That one's sold out. Even though I'm not really, that's not really my style. And Clayton Crane, he did one, and Clayton Crane, he's one of my artists. He actually did the A cover. That one's like $4, but once again, that's not really my style. Just doing a little research on it. Black Widow, her first appearance was Tales of Suspense number 52. That was first Natasha Romanoff.
I knew that, by the way. Just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got a few listeners. Just want
to. I totally. Hey, go for it, man. I'm just saying, I knew that one.
Because the reason why I wanted to make sure I checked up on the pricing of this is because, they did find a director for it. It's going to be Kate Shortland, who did the Nazi drama Lore, to direct the Black Widow movie that's supposed to be coming out in the next year or two or so. It doesn't look like there's a big moving on the prices for her first appearance. So you can get a really good high graded issue for $1,000 or $1,100, which is a surprise to me.
You think all the movement on those the prices of the first appearance of Black Widow would have gone up with the first Avengers movie and the first Iron Man or second Iron Man movie when she made her first appearance there?
It should have, but it didn't. It did not at all.
So the prices on that have been stagnant for a while.
Yeah, because if you figure, I forget the year, but I mean it's 64, no, or 60. Yeah, 64 is when that came out. And if you look at Captain America, you get a high grade one for him, and that's like $8,000. If you look at hers, you can get one for $1,100, $1,200. And I guess that might be because of, name branding. Like, if I showed a picture of it to a little kid, would he know who that is? And my kid probably wouldn't, but he'll know Iron Man, he'll know Captain America. Heck, he might even know, like, Hawkeye, and he definitely knows Black Panther, but he might not know Black Widow. So even though she's been around for forever, she still doesn't have that name recognition yet. So hopefully any movie that comes out will help change that. The only thing is, the rumors is that the Black Widow movie that's coming out, it might be rated R. So little kids may not be able to go see it. So that's the only thing, which is fine for me, because I don't want to see a ex-KGB agent restricted by not being able to show blood or violence or any of the other good stuff.
The worry I've got is, first of all, I appreciate that. I like the fact that this is a change of pace for Natasha, so she's not being a superhero, which kind of, is one of your points. The other thing I've got is that if it makes it an R-rated movie, then it's how's it going to differentiate from things like Atomic Blonde
Exactly.
and the one that was out not so long ago with Jennifer Lawrence? Was it Red something?
It's Red Sparrow.
Red Sparrow, which is very similar in style to the idea of a Russian spy. So I kind of think you've got to be wary. If you're going to make it R-rated, then make it R-rated for the right reasons.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So I kind of agree on both sides of you guys here. I thought this was a fun book. I thought one of the jarring things that I didn't like, I'm gonna beat a dead horse here, is her portrayal from this book versus her portrayal from the Mark Waid series last year, versus her portrayal from Tales of Suspense when they brought her back from the dead after 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like a different character every time you pick it up, and this one is kind of more of a. I like the dealing of the ramifications, Johnny, like you said about Captain America killing Black Widow back in Civil War II. Not Civil War II. Freaking, I can't even remember the name of that stupid storyline now.
Secret Empire.
There you go, Secret Empire. They all blend together for me now. But I mean, I liked the issue for what it was. I did like that she went to Madripoor because it is one of my favorite places too, Johnny.
Hey.
And I like that they brought out Tigra. I haven't seen her in a long time.
Yeah, it's the only reason. It is the only reason to buy all Marvel Comics Presents is because it's Madripoor.
Yep. And then I liked I didn't know who the writers were until I searched them before the podcast this morning to find out that they were actually directors. And I thought the theme, the child trafficking theme there, was I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, they're gonna go adult here. They're gonna go kind of hardcore, and what's coming up in issue 2 or 3, because it seems to me like the theme got really dark really quick. Like it started off with the Captain Americas, and the kind of thought it was going to be just a regular Black Widow diffusing the mad bomb. Okay, great. And then when she went to Madripoor, and all of a sudden it just kind of took a turn, and I was like, okay, where's this going now? Now you got me. So this is a flame on, because it makes me want to read issue 2. It makes me want to kind of see where it's going. And it is kind of a different Black Widow, so it's not like the first thing she's doing is whipping out the gun and blowing someone's head off, because that's kind of what I was expecting her to do, But no, great beginning to what I hope is going to be a good series, whether it's 5 issues or 6 or 7, but we'll see.
Just as a quick aside, you know how you mentioned she's a different character than the Weird one, and the Avengers one, and all that.
Yeah.
Do you think that is a cohesive problem with Marvel, and sometimes they just don't know how to maintain continuity or consistency even?
Yes.
I absolutely think it's a problem, because, and we've talked about this several times, about how when you have a 5 or 6 issue storyline, and then they're rebooting the series again, and it is a kind of a different character. You don't think that these writers are reading what has come before. They're remembering. I mean, we just talked about Liefeld drawing the Beast, how he hasn't looked like in 20 years.
Mm.
They're going on memory, and we've seen. I've gone to a lot of conventions. I'm sure you guys have too. And you're sitting there talking to one of the artists, and you like ask them to draw a character, and they're like, "Oh, well, which version of the character?" And then they're trying to get you to oh, how do you look at that? And then they're looking at friggin' their cell phone for a reference on how to draw a character, and I'm like, you guys, okay, so obviously you guys don't read comics anymore.
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, I kicked a bit of a wasp's nest there.
So I agree with you on I agree with you on the continuity, and I'll tell you why. So we're talking about the child sex trafficking thing, right?
Yeah.
The fact that Captain America didn't go with her to Madripoor tells me vibes, because, and this may be penalty of me having to read so many books, is that he's actually doing another child kidnapping thing in the Miles Morales book. So if they were smart, they would have somehow melded the two storylines into each other, and that would have been the reason why Black Widow would eventually make her way to Madripoor.
See, Lucas, you've fallen afoul of one of my absolute pet peeves. And I've said this on a number of podcasts, whether it be Marvel, DC, whatever. It always seems that somebody comes up with a great idea. So they'll say, oh, I tell you what, why don't we have a good superhero, like a morally sound superhero, get involved in a sex trafficking story to give it a good contrast? At the same time, somebody says, oh, do you know what we should do? We should put a morally ambiguous character into the sex trade to see what happens. And you're like, oh my God. And I'm sure Bud's going to turn around, he's going to whip out the Wrecking Crew again, because it seemed like every book we picked up last year, it was like, hey, check it out, the Wrecking Crew are in it. And you're like, you know what, I've read this book, they got captured, how'd they get out again so quick? It's just one of those things that kind of, the powers that be just have no consistency. Gone are the days where the big bosses and the big two think that people read every single book.
You have to read the book in a vacuum. There's no such thing as the Marvel universe anymore. There's no such thing as continuity between books. You just have to take it on faith that the Wrecking Crew can fight absolutely every single person in the Marvel universe twice in 1 year. And then,
twice in 1 month.
Well, no, it's seriously true. Though they have not had an appearance yet in 2019, it is only week 3. So. All right, so we seem to all like Black Widow, yeah?
Yeah. Flame on.
There we go.
I didn't like this iteration because I'm expecting a different storyline from Jen.
So it's a bit of a,
but I think she's gonna make her way to it. It's just didn't make it in this issue yet. So
yeah,
I'm waiting with bated breath for her to actually bring it out right now.
We'll see. I mean, usually with these first issues, you got to give it a couple of issues before you kind of make a decision on the overall story. Yeah.
Which is funny. That's exactly how Marvel do it. Was should we keep it or leave it?
Oh yeah, they know by the end of issue 2 whether or not they're gonna keep publishing it, right?
So, unless it's a Star Wars book, and then you never see the light of the day. Woo.
Yeah, we're sorry. We told you that you were going to have 8 issues to tell your story, but now you have 5. Wrap it up. All right, let's jump over to this dumpster fire of Uncanny X-Men number 10, and we're going to let Lucas take it over.
Okay, so Uncanny X-Men number 10, written by Ed Brisson and art by Per Perez. Ed Brisson, he's worked on Extermination. He's worked on the Uncanny X-Men Annual and a bunch of these Uncanny X-Men books, and the X-Force. He worked on X-Force 31. So to give you some context, what we're talking about, the final part of the X-Men, this is a summer storyline. It's got one hell of an ending. X-Men. This is an alternate universe. Snake Ray. He's come back inside the world. He's trying to change it to be a utopia. But in a strange twist, he wants to bring about the Age of Apocalypse, complete with his Horsemen of Salvation. I think their first appearance was this Uncanny X-Men number 1, I believe. Yeah, Uncanny X-Men number 1, or was it number 3 or something like that? So Legion knows the world's a little off, and he's been trying to use his powers to get most of every member of the X-Men to stop him. I've complained before that there was way too many X-Men in this book. There was like 30 X-Men. Plot wise, this issue, is little more than the big end all battle and some little monologuing until the final pages, which really lays the groundwork for restructuring Mutant Kind. So spoilers, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to pause it, fast forward about 2 minutes, because I'm going to give some big spoilers. All right.
Long enough. Spoil away.
Yeah. Okay. So in this book, he basically gets rid of all the X-Men, right? So in this particular universe, there's no more mutants, and as a result, everyone is volunteering their children to take this anti-mutant vaccine. Now, here's the deal: they may have missed one person, right? And there you see, there's like the last panels. There's this one guy with a hoodie, and he's got these red sunglasses, which I'm taking to mean that this is supposed to be the beginning of the return of Cyclops.
Da, da, da. Sorry.
Yep. So so basically, this issue is supposed to lead us into an upcoming series. I think it's in April, or is it next month? Yeah, I gotta look that up. It's called the Age of X-Men, which will show us a potentially perfect world where Nate Gray, without any created by Nick Gray, without any persecution of humanity, as part of the Age of Apocalypse. Although this is not a sequel to it, there's more, including Brave New World 1984 and all this other stuff. So we're basically being shown a world in which mutant kind is no longer an endangered species, which is basically Xavier's dream realized, right? And the real reason why it's realized and why there's no more mutant persecution is because every person in this universe is going to be a mutant. Which is weird because I could have sworn there's this other comic out there, and I don't remember what it is, but there's this other comic out there where everybody is a mutant, or either a mutant or has superpowers out there. So I feel like that's going to be a copy of something, but that's the way I feel about it. So what did you guys think about this issue?
Well, so yeah, so that thing you're thinking about, it reminds me of the plot to The Incredibles when I can't even remember the name of the bad guy. What was the name of the bad guy in The Incredibles? The first one.
I can see him.
Yeah.
Oh, what you call him, man?
Well, that was this whole thing. Anyway, his whole thing is was I'm gonna make everybody in the world super, and then nobody will be. Right. So that's the whole plot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this whole issue and this whole 10-issue series has just been one issue after another for me. I mean, it's the Avengers. The Avengers did it better last year with their No Surrender weekly. That was a lot longer. It was 16 issues instead of 10. But there's been every page you look at, it's like, what the heck is going on? This whole issue is just X-Men bodies everywhere, and
Syndrome.
What is going on? And it's Nate wants to bring back the Age of Apocalypse, yet here's Apocalypse running at him, going, "No, stop!" and this has got, and I've seen this a couple of times in the last year. That it actually absolutely gets my goat every single time. Is something crazy happens and Nate ends the world, and then you have 2 black pages. Yeah. You have, I mean, I'm sorry, what are we paying for these books? $5-6 now, and you can't give me art for 2 pages. You give me a black page.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. So anyway, this story went on 10 weeks too long. And it's just to get us to the next thing with the X-Men. Just bring back Cyclops and Wolverine already and get it over with. That's and I also had the overwhelming feeling of that, Johnny. You say this all the time. Where have I read this before? You know?
Yeah. Okay, so I guess it's my shout. Right. For what it was, we talked about Ed Bryson, but there's a couple of extras on there, Kelly Thompson and Matthew Rosenberg on there as well. For what this was, it was a fun read. However, it comes too soon after a couple of things. First of all, it comes too soon after extermination, right? Which we've already just gone through a whole mutant apocalypse type event, which potentially killed loads of people. And it comes too soon after this book's been restarted already. This is only issue 10. And so many of these issues shipped weekly. So we're talking not even 2 months down the line and we're already stopping the book. It's like, are you crazy? On top of that, you've got the Cuckoo Sisters in here, regardless of the fact of what happened to them in the X-23 book.
Exactly. That was driving me nuts. I was like, wait, what's going on?
Exactly. I mean, I love the Cuckoos. Don't get me wrong. I think that they are probably my favorite Grant Morrison creations in the X-Men universe. But this, for what it was, it's an X-Men battle book. There's no major things. I loved the Betsy Braddock stuff, and I loved the Saki, the telepaths will save the day again comment by the Cuckoos. But other than that, it is what it is. It's just going to feed into the next event, which, funny enough, Extermination was going to lead into the next event. So you're kind of like, how many times do we have to see this? On top of that,
True.
How many more Age of whatever it is, Age of X-Man, or whatever it's called, there's like shed loads of books, man.
Yep.
There's absolutely, it's bonkers. And there's some really good creators on there. I'm going to shout out Lonnie Nadler and Zach Thompson, who spent some time on Cable last year. Their indie stuff's been fantastic. So if you're going to check out some X books, check those out. But other than that, it's like if you want to read a story about Jean Grey going into somebody's head to sort of solve the problem, well, fine. Or a character going into the astral plane to solve a problem, fine. But that was done in Dark Phoenix Saga. It's been done stacks of times. Move on. X-Men, I agree there needs to be a bit of a cull. I totally get that. There's too many characters to keep track of.
But the thing is, you had so many characters, and then at the end of it, none of them were even really needed.
Exactly.
By the time it got done, it got down to just Storm, Storm beating up on him.
Yeah,
I didn't need 30 characters just to have a one-on-one with Storm, Legion, and Apocalypse. I didn't need all that.
And you got to think that Rogue would be your key. Get Rogue in there, touch, poof, and there she's nabbed the powers and job's sorted. But I don't know. It just seems, and the Black Pages thing. Great, thanks. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing for the last. I think that's for the last month they've been doing the Stan Lee memoriam thing. So the first 3 pages of each Marvel book has just been Black Pages.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think those were extra pages. I don't think that they should cut down the story for that.
Yeah,
but this was when it's part of the story. It bugs me.
Like it did in Daredevil.
Yeah.
The only other thing I've got to say about this is there's a newspaper article by the Bugle that says no more X-Men. Correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up. But I didn't think the X-Men's existence was publicly acknowledged like the Avengers were. I always thought the X-Men were a little bit more clandestine than that.
Mm.
But that's just been my perception of that. I don't know. Because if you think if the public knew about the X-Men, what's to stop a bunch of Sentinels just rocking up at the mansion every other issue and kicking ass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for during this whole storyline, there's been a whole bunch of protesters at the Xavier Institute.
Mm. That's true.
Well, it is put right in Central Park these days. So, that's kind of not secret. So the last thing I'm going to say before we get this put to bed is, that the first half of this issue, the jam battle, where pretty much everybody that's ever been an X-Man or an Excalibur or Generation X or any other mutant book that's ever existed is probably just fill up the space on the page. Where are these characters coming from, man? Because I have not seen Maggot since 1992, and
there's no Captain Britain. There's no Major X.
Right, but there's Kai Lun, who was in Excalibur, and where are these characters coming from, and where have they been? Right, So they just call up the cell phones and say, "Hey, trouble alert! There's Justice League trouble alert! Everybody show up."
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, there are other characters now. The young Apocalypse, the one that was in the X-Men series, was it Astonishing X-Men that Mark Bagley was doing?
Mhm.
Was it Kid Genesis or something? Was that his name?
Who knows?
Anyway, I thought he was a young Apocalypse. I thought they de-aged Apocalypse so that he was a kid and that they were trying to make him a productive member of the X-Men. He is sitting here on the same double page spread as the actual Apocalypse. So I was like, okay, I don't get it. So you tell me,
Yeah.
I think it was just silly, and I think that the artist kind of took over, kind of got ahead of himself. I mean, I can get away with drawing Maggot, and not just in the background, but he's on the front. He's like a friggin' splash page in the last issue. Whatever. Anyway, I'm done talking about Uncanny X-Men.
I got one more thing. I just wanted to quick talk about the variant covers.
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there was 3 covers.
Was there a Maggot cover?
No, there was not.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't think so. Anyway, so there was cover A by Giuseppe Camicoli, one by John Taylor. That's an action figure cover, and one by Dave Finch. They're all $4.99. However, the Dave Finch cover, which is actually a pretty good cover of Wolverine, that one's currently going for $40 right now. So if you see it in your local LCS, your local comic book shop, you see that Wolverine on that Uncanny X-Men, pick it up, and you're going to make 10 times your money on that one. The only problem I have with it is that, hey, it's a great cover, but there's no Wolverine inside.
I was just about to say that.
So, yeah. Nothing.
They like to do that.
Yeah. So what do we got next?
All right. So next we're going to do the first issue of...
Quickly.
Sorry?
Quickly. So where are we at? So you're a clubber on this. Lucas,
Oh, yeah.
Where are you on this? What's your rating on the Uncanny X-Men? Is it a year and there?
Well, so for me, for all the crazy build-up and the 30 or so freaking X-Men, and then all of a sudden they got rid of them all in one swipe. That one was worth it to me. So that was a flame on, even though it's got so many issues across the storyline.
I'm going with
an he made it worth it.
Okay, I'm going with an Invisible Woman. I can take it or leave it. There you go.
All right. Yeah, and if you couldn't guess, I clobbered it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go into the first issue of The Invaders. And this is the writer's Chip Zdarsky, who's been doing quite a bit of work with Marvel lately, and artist Carlos Magno with Butch Guice, who I'm a big fan of Butch Guice.
And you say I have problems with names.
Yeah, this is a problem. With colors by Alex Guimaraes and letterers VC's Travis Lanham, not Magnum, whatever his name is. Everything else, Joe Caramagna. So, this Namor's been kind of featured a lot lately in the Marvel Universe through Avengers and what was it? X-Men, the X-Men Red. And here we are with a kind of a follow-up with a kind of his characterization is consistent with his recent appearances in Avengers, where he's kind of turning into a war against the surface world. They do bring up the fact that he murdered some shippers back in the pages of Avengers. So this very much is kind of a continuation of that. Captain America actually makes a mention to Tony Stark at the end of this issue that this is an invaders problem, not a Avengers problem. So that to me, like, thank you for a little bit of continuity. Thank you for kind of like referencing what's come before. But I do love the flashbacks, and they utilize the flashbacks, if you remember, in the Ed Brubaker's Captain America run, that I thought was great, because you have these characters that have 60, 70, 80 years of history that they're around. And I think a book like Invaders, where the original characters, Namor, the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond, and Captain America, were all in World War II.
Yeah.
You need to see kind of the flashbacks of stuff that they've seen and stuff that they've done. And it was good to see. So Namor, who worked with the Allies in World War II, actually having kind of like a camaraderie relationship with some of the soldiers, and then showing like a few of the soldiers getting killed in battle, and Namor really kind of taking it hard. Which, at first you don't know if that's going to come back, but it does by the end of the issue, where Captain America visits one of the survivors of that battle and finds a photograph, which is, and this is what I think is cool, because when you can do continuity or maybe retcon or add to storyline like this, I think it's acceptable. But you have a photograph where Steve finds a picture of Namor back before his appearance in the Fantastic Four, where, if you guys remember, in Fantastic Four when he first appeared, he had amnesia, and that's how they explained away why he hadn't been around in 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But they have the picture. The picture shows him standing with Professor Xavier on the docks. So that kind of instantly said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And who knows? It could be nothing, but I imagine it's something a little more sinister than that. But I thought that was really cool and kind of sparked a little bit of a mystery. And maybe this is, whatever this story is going, whatever they're going to do to handle Namor. I think it's interesting. And you see at the end of the issue that Steve is bringing in Winter Soldier. And Captain America is looking at his, I guess, Captain America armor, right? That looks like Iron Man made for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I think this is all good things. I've seen a lot of good stuff out of this issue. I'm looking forward to the next issue. And I don't know what Lucas, what did you think of this issue?
Yeah. So so remember how, I forget which book we were just talking about, where it doesn't seem like Marvel has continuity on some stuff. Yeah, looks like they actually were trying to have continuity when it comes regarding Namor, because, like you were talking about with the Avengers, X-Men Red, and Defenders, they've been talking about Namor, or they've been going up against Namor, and Black Panther. He's been. If you haven't been paying attention to Avengers, Black Panther, he has specifically been building up his own little force of Avengers that might, when they had to go up against Namor. And Namor, in this side, he's been building up his crazy little force to go up against the surface world. Namor has been known for being kind of a dick. He threatens to lay waste to the surface world. He's, like I said before, he's been preparing a massive army. He wants to launch a crusade against those who live on land, despite his decades-long alliance with the rest of the invaders. But it looks like in this one, Chip Zdarsky, he's looking to portray him as this man who's been coping with the emotional devastation of his experience in war. So he's trying to give context of, yeah, he's a dick, but he's a dick because of this, and this. And not only is he dealing with the emotional devastation of losing like half of his unit during World War, whatever, but he's dealing right now with dissension among his own ranks of some of the leaders of the water world, and some of Atlantis' oldest and fiercest worst warriors doubting their half-human king and thinking that he's crazy, and they don't want to follow this guy right now. Because they not only do they think he's crazy, but they don't like the fact that he's half human and that he proposes to lead them all. But he's showing that, hey, if you don't go with me, you're against me, and I will swat the hell out of you and lay waste to your world. The art is absolutely great. It bounces back and forth in between flashbacks with the old school comic book art, and it brings it, and then it flashes it to future with some great art, popping colors, and all that other good stuff. And there are some gory, realistic war scenes that are straight out of that are just ready for that great cinematic style, and I would kind of like to see on the big screen. What did you think about it, Johnny?
I really like Invaders, the original run. I think it's quite a quirky little idea. I like the history of this book. I like kind of the flashbacks more than the present time stuff. It has a gritty feel to it. The art, which really works, because war is dirty, no matter what people say. It's not glamorous in any shape, way, or form. Unless, of course, it's Star Wars, and then what the hey. The present day stuff, Nemo's always in a pity mood with somebody down the line. Again, we don't know which Captain America this is. We talked about kind of like which Black Widow is it, which Captain America is this. This one seems to be like the All Is Forgiven Cap versus the one that was in Black Widow. So it's an enjoyable read. I think for me, the problem, if there is a problem with this book, is that the artwork from the flashbacks to the art to the modern day is so different. It can be a little bit jarring at times.
Sure.
It doesn't feel cohesive, which is, I guess, if that's what you're aiming for, that's fine. But no, I thought it was an enjoyable read. I'm intrigued as to what's going to happen next. The problem with the Invaders, I guess, as a whole, is that because Namor, as you said, is a bit of a dick, then it's hard to like him or to agree with him on anything. So even when he's like mourning the death of his friend, you're like thinking, no, stop being a douche. It doesn't work so much, I guess, when you're trying to play nice with the character. For me, the books are Mr. Fantastic. It's a bit of a stretch. I want to see how it goes. I do worry that Marvel are spreading their Captain America butter a little bit too thin with all the various books that he's in now. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Mr. Fantastic, quietly enjoyable. There you go.
I thought it was a flame on. I think first issues generally, I usually have to say let's give it a couple of more issues before I make a decision. This one has me from the get go, so flame on for me.
That's a historian element in you, though.
It's totally true. Totally true.
You're thinking with your old Invaders head, not your new Invaders head.
I totally am. Yep.
For me, it was a flame on. I was intrigued by the art. I was intrigued by the mystery of what's coming up. There's about 7 covers for this thing. Butch Gucci did the regular cover. Alex Ross has a cover B, which is amazing. Then there's a couple covers by Joe Quesada. The G cover is like a 1/300, I believe. There's a Muka Sayan, there's a Scotty Young, and there's a Frank Robbins. They're all okay covers. They're all okay, pretty covers, but Alex Ross is definitely the best one for me. But I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for Raiders #2 and see what that's all about.
I just want to say right now, his name, the artist, to me, it's Butch Guice. That's how I would say it.
Oh, okay. And you might be right. I don't know.
If he wants to come on to the podcast and tell
us.
How do you pronounce your name?
Yeah. Butch, come here and tell us what your name is.
We'll see. Maybe if he comes around to Terrificon this year, I'll ask what his name is. How do you pronounce your goddamn name?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the goddamn word if you're trying to ask for information.
I might. All right, so for time constraints, we're going to drop our last review, but that's okay. You wouldn't have liked it anyway. All right, so join us next week, or in 2 weeks. We'll be roaring into February with Marvel, and we'll see what future holds for our favorite heroes. But for No Prize Podcast, I am the Professor Bud Young, along with Johnny the Machine Hughes and Lucas, who needs a nickname.
OBB of comics, man. That's all.
All right.
Adios.
We'll see you next week.
All right, guys.